In a statement released on Monday, the M23 armed group claimed it had taken control of the Eastern DRC strategic city of Goma after they intensified their offensive against the government troops FARDC. Earlier, the group announced that it had closed the airspace of Goma and taken control of the area airport. The DRC government spokesperson Patrick Muyaya, who is also the Minister of Communication and Media, last evening accused Rwanda of supporting the M23 armed group. He noted that DRC President Felix Kulayigye had instructed that the situation be handled carefully to avoid carnage and loss of human life.
President Felix Kulayigye and the entire government is closely monitoring the situation in Goma. We are working towards defeating the armed groups.
The intense fighting between the two warring sides has seen thousands of people flee their homes for safety. Some people, including foreign troops, have reportedly been killed in the battle. Some foreign nationals in eastern Congo were evacuated to Rwanda's capital, Kigali. The Uganda People's Defense Forces says it is watching the situation closely, given that the fighting is happening just some 570 kilometers west of Uganda's capital, Kampala.
When you see fire in the neighborhood, you bring your water bowsers and all the manpower to put down the fire nearby. Because as you know, a fire in the neighborhood will catch your house. Goma is only 1 hour's flight from here actually. So you cannot stay comfortable and they say all is well. We are prepared.
In a surprising turn of events, on arriving in Goma, the M23 armed group asked government forces to hand over their weapons and military equipment to MONUSCO, a United Nations force in DRC, for safekeeping. So we asked Brigadier General Kulayigye what could have informed this strange decision by the M23.
That surprised me as well. I would have expected them to take them as prisoners of war and have those weapons. But indeed they instruct them to surrender to MONUSCO. That's a matter that needs investigation. However, that shows you M23 recognizes MONUSCO as a legitimate interventionist force, albeit M23 has ever attacked them. But the fact that they did recognize them that way, I have respected them. It just shows you their leadership appreciates the regional and international dynamics. And if I were in the Congolese government, that's a matter of interest.
The M23 armed group has been at war with the DRC government forces for years, since their formation in 2009. They take their name from a peace agreement that was signed with former President Joseph Kabila's government on 23rd March 2009. However, they now say several subsequent deals to end the fighting have not been respected, prompting a resurgence of the fighting. Among the issues behind the 2009 agreement was a wish to be integrated into the DRC army. However, the DRC government is reluctant to integrate M23 into the army, which has led to the fighting, along with the popular narrative in Kinshasa that the M23 has backing from Rwanda. So, how can the issue be resolved?
M23 is an internal conflict that leaders have not taken into account. They have been suppressing it. Because these are people, even before the partition of Africa, they have been in that place. That Congo regime must know that the people who are coming up, they have been suppressed for quite a long time to look for an identity.
If Nairobi is serious, as Ruto is now calling for a summit, I think they need to have what you call an expanded process. Not only the political heads, they need to have what you'd call political plus process. Because other than the issue of just the political heads agreeing, there are fundamental governance issues internally.
We asked the experts how long they think the M23 armed group will be in control of Goma City.
If they can hold ground for more than 2 weeks, a month from now, then the question of whether Kinshasa can stay or not is not of a doubt. And that is how serious this conflict is.
Meanwhile, the East African heads of state are planning an extraordinary summit by Wednesday to chart the way forward. The renewed violence in Eastern DRC has a devastating toll on civilians and heightened the risk of a broader regional war, and that's according to United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The United Nations has now allocated $17 million from the Central Emergency Response Fund for an urgent response to new displacement in North and South Kivu provinces. Now, that funding is aimed at supporting emergency assistance to vulnerable people and communities facing displacement since the beginning of January. Daniel Kibet, NTV.